It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo are here for the very last show of 2014, and we're going to talk about all those patch problems with Windows. Windows 10, the consumer preview just around the corner, and a very special event coming up next month. Paul and Mary Jo will be there. We'll talk about that. And Paul's picks for the best Audible books of 2014. It's all coming up next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 393, recorded December 17th, 2014. Crap Patch Fever. This episode of Windows Weekly is brought to you by Audible.com. To download a free audiobook of your choice, go to audible.com/windows. And by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. Get $5 off your first purchase by entering the code WINDOWS when you check out. And by Braintree. If you're a developer or manager of mobile apps and you're searching for the right payment API, check out Braintree. Braintree's new V.0 SDK makes it easy to support multiple mobile payment types with one simple integration. To learn more and to try out their sandbox, go to braintreepayments.com/twit. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show, the happy holiday show that is just makes everybody feel so good about themselves, about Windows 10, about Windows Phone 8, about Windows 8.1. It just makes everybody smile. Here he is, the jolly, the happy Paul Thurrott. He's just happy-go-lucky. He's like a little leprechaun on a Lucky Charms commercial.
I am.
He's just magically delicious. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, Paul. From the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com. From allaboutmicrosoft.com. She's grumpy, she's gloomy, she's never happy.
Her video is always terrible.
And the queen of Hadoop. No, I think I've reversed roles here. Mary Jo Foley, good to see you.
Thank you.
And as Paul points out, or you guys point out in your show notes today, this is the last episode of the year for us.
I know,
weird.
crazy.
Yeah. Next week, best of, we've got some great clips, some fun stuff. And then the following week, we're going to take the day off because that's New Year's Eve. And I will be doing the 24 hours of 2015 as we did last year. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think Paul's coming out for it.
I am coming out.
We invited you, Mary Jo, but I think you have better things to do.
I'm like so burnt out on traveling.
I don't blame you. Believe me, it's fine. We extended an invitation to all of our show hosts and their families to come on out to beautiful Petaluma for New Year's Eve. And pretty much it was Paul that was said yes.
Right.
So, no, actually, many of our hosts are coming out. In fact, we're having the hosts' dinner. I wish you could be there for this, Mary Jo.
Oh, I know.
At the Washoe House, which is our old 1800s roadhouse for the stagecoach.
Wow.
And it's still their stagecoach stop. And I think some of the steaks they're serving are from the 1800s. So that's
I'm going to wander around in the kitchen and be like, is there corn?
Is there corn? I was told there'd be corn. So
these are not seasonal vegetables.
Next week, best of. The week after, it's 24 hours of 2015. It's all for charity UNICEF. And then you will be back. You guys will all be back January 6th, 2015 for episode 394. We're almost up to 400.
Wow.
On Windows Weekly. So
we almost have as many episodes as there are kinds of cheese in France.
How many kinds of cheese in France are there?
I don't know.
I thought you
like the story is always there's more kinds than there are days in a year.
That's hysterical. They probably, knowing the French, they probably have a number. They're exactly because you must be approved. You cannot make a new cheese without approval of the French government.
Right.
So they probably.
Today's episode will be a fine camembert.
Oh, I love it. Nicely aged.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my parents would insist with the camembert, you leave it out at room temperature, and you don't eat it until it starts turning brown. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Brown around kind of the rind, and then it's runny inside.
Yeah, of course. Of course. It has to, listen, if there isn't like kind of a gag reflex, and then like, oh, actually, that's really good.
Yeah.
It's probably not good cheese.
Yum.
But
Glad I already ate
it's an acquired taste.
Yep.
But that's how you're supposed to do camembert. And I even brie, you're supposed to let it age. And when people have these bries that just like straight out of the fridge, it's
Please. Like it's all like hard packed.
Yeah. It's like, come on. Is this fresh? That's disgusting. I don't eat fresh cheese.
What is this, homogenized?
What is this? Well, that's the other problem.
That's the other problem. Please, don't get me started on that one.
The USDA makes you pasteurize cheese before you bring it in the country.
Oh, boy. Yep.
Can't get good cheese in America.
Well, actually, we do have some good cheese finally. That's changing, but we can't do everything that they can do in Europe or Canada.
No.
Or whatever,
Because, frankly, food safety laws prohibit it.
Yes.
All right. But, Mary Jo, that's why you drink beer, because it kills the germs.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that's why, but it's
one of the many health benefits.
I am thinking, wine and cheese is good, but I'm thinking beer and cheese might even be better. A nice Wensleydale
really good.
With a porter. Oh,
yep. Beer and oysters. It's classic pairing.
Ooh.
Yep, that's true.
Porter.
Beer is good with sushi.
Chemist in our chat room says, good cheese smells like the feet of angels.
Yeah, that's Steve's line.
All right, Windows 10. What is up? Actually, there's a leak for a new build, 9901.
Yeah.
This is funny. This cracks me up. People are, already you're getting a technical preview, really, really, really early version of Windows 10, and people aren't satisfied with that. They're trying to find leaked builds. No, I want something newer. You got anything fresher?
I can't be objective about this one because that's me. But
that's your job. That's the excuse.
Yeah, that's how I excuse
it.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. That's your job.
So 9901 appears to be a consumer preview class build, right? There's a bunch of new stuff in here, so that's kind of interesting. That build is very buggy. I was chatting with Mary Jo earlier and I had to reboot. I had the thing on a laptop. It's bad. but there's some interesting stuff in it, and a lot of it is new apps. There's new apps coming. There's improved versions of apps we've already seen before. Cortana's in there, and it sort of works. I guess I should say she sort of works. So new graphical treatments and more of that to come. New icons, new title bar buttons, and things like that. A new version of the store is coming that will have Windows Phone apps in it as well as Windows apps. Also music, movies, and TV shows all in one place, like we do on Windows Phone. New settings interface. What else we got? Like there should be more than that.
You mentioned full screen button.
The hamburger menu.
There's a hamburger menu. Full screen button.
Yeah, the full screen button. Yep. Yeah, so there's a lot going on there. And there's a new kind of graphical treatment on the taskbar. In previous builds, it was just basically translucent, and now it's mostly opaque, and it's colored to be a dark version of the primary color of your theme. So in my case, the theme is kind of a blue, theme, and the taskbar is a very dark blue color. It looks almost black in the screenshots, but it's really a color, but just off from black, which I actually really like a lot. In fact, I wish the start menu looked like that. Maybe it will. There's some Mac OS 10 type touches in here too, by the way.
All of that transparency and the what did they call it? Metro? No,
Arrow.
Arrow.
Yep.
Is really pretty much been eliminated.
I just I just restored my 15-inch Ultrabook. 2 years. It's about 2 years old, and I bought it right before Windows 8 came out, so it came with Windows 7, a signature version. And I restored it. When you restore it, it still goes all the way back to Windows 7 using the built-in software.
Right.
It's like a time machine.
Right.
And I tried to use Windows 7 for a couple of days, and honestly, from sort of a workflow perspective, it was no problem at all because it works very much like Windows 10 does. It's sort of what I'm used to. But the thing I didn't like about it, honestly, was the Arrow Glass stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that's going to be divisive. Some people love that stuff,
but it's starting to look dated.
I find it to be dated. Yeah. And I tried playing with it to turn off the translucency, and I can't get into it.
You know, it's funny because obviously kind of stuff like that has nothing to do with functionality, with usability. It's fashion.
But, I think that stuff's important. I think when you go back to stuff like the Plus Pack they used to have for Windows or whatever, it's obviously surface level stuff. But anything that you can do to personalize the device using, the computer using, whatever, I think matters to people. It's like pinning up a family photo in your cubicle at work. It doesn't really change the situation, right?
No,
but it kind of makes it yours a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that kind of thing matters to people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. And it's an advantage to Microsoft because, I know Apple's done this for years. When you change the look of the iPhone or of your desktop, it doesn't take long before the previous look is like wide ties. It looks dated.
Yeah.
It might not be dated, but it just looks dated.
I'll tell you, you're in tough shape if the old thing looks better.
That would be bad.
That would be a very interesting circumstance, and maybe that was the point of me looking at Windows 7 again. If I had, and it looked, if I actually found that to be more attractive than the stuff I'd been using for the past 2.5 years or whatever, that would have been a bad moment. So
I think that though that's the nature of fashion. I mean, it's not that short skirts are better than long skirts, although the midi skirt really was ugly. But it's that this is what the look is, and you just get used to it. And now the previous look, it's not better or worse. It just looks dated because that's what we used to wear.
It's from the era it was. Yeah.
I mean,
all the XP stuff. It was all blue and
burnt orange or avocado refrigerators are not necessarily ugly, but when you see them,
they're from that era.
You say 70s.
Yeah.
What color's your refrigerator, Mary Jo?
Silver.
Ah, good. See, that's modern.
Yes,
that's 90s.
And someday that will look.
No, I think so.
Yep.
I think the new look is bamboo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everything should be wood.
Wow. Maybe Moto was
onto
onto something,
But then you go, oh, wood is so 2010.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you have a number of articles, the hands-on
It's
article.
just experience. Yeah, just be using it. There's not much more to say about it. I mean, it's probably some half step toward what we'll get in January.
So you think consumer preview in January?
Yeah. What I found, I went away. I was on a short trip this week, and what I discovered taking this thing with me was that it was really stupid. I had to reboot this computer like 5 times a day. It was really unstable.
Yeah, but that's the acid test though. Is relying. You didn't have another one, huh? Relying.
I did bring another one, but I kept with it. I really wanted to play around with it and see if there was anything I was missing.
It's the acid test.
Yeah.
Will it work?
The answer is no.
January 21st. Is this event in Redmond that's coming up? Is that going to be the consumer preview?
Yep, that's what we think. Yeah, we think they're going to talk about, well, they did tell us they're going to talk about consumer features in Windows 10 at that event. And we know the speakers include the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer. He's going to be there. And Terry Myerson, the head of operating systems, Joe Belfiore, also with operating systems group. And Satya Nadella is going to be there too. So it's a pretty big deal. Right. But what we think we're going to see is the consumer preview of Windows 10, which may be the thing that I've heard is called January Technical Preview Build for the desktop. But there's also that SKU we still haven't seen that's going to work on tablets and Windows Phone. And we think we're going to get to see that at this event too, because we haven't seen that one yet. So that should be pretty interesting. And, we don't know if we're going to get the bits there for both of those things or either of those things on that day, because what they did back in September was they showed us Windows 10, and then the next day they gave everybody the bits, including us.
Interesting.
Right.
So we don't know if this is going to be like that or if we're going to get the bits there. I guess it depends in part how far along they are with the mobile one that's the combined tablet and Windows Phone one. Because what I've been hearing from my contacts is they're not that far along with it, or they're far along with it, but they're not as far along with it as they want to be in order to give us those bits when we're there. So they've got to either hurry up and get them done, or they're going to tell us, here they are, and you're going to get them in another couple weeks or whatever.
So this invitation is pretty clear that it says Windows 10, the next chapter.
You know what the best part about that invitation is, Leo?
What's that, Paul?
It's not in San Francisco.
You're done. Satya Nadella's favorite city, but he's going to stay home this time.
Not that I don't like San Francisco. Don't get me wrong.
You guys obviously are both coming for this, right?
Yeah.
Now,
and it's on Wednesday, by the way, Windows Weekly Day.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we got to figure that out.
I do know that they're streaming it as well. I wonder if we should...
They're streaming the morning keynote, the first part of it, but then they're not streaming anything else after that.
Right. And you'll, of course, be at the morning keynote.
We'll be at the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to do a live thing for the keynote, but the question is going to be how we could do Windows Weekly. So we'll talk to people about that and see if we can... Because what would be nice is to pull people in from Microsoft.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And so we're gonna work on that.
Otherwise, we could. Well, we'll figure it out. We got.
Yeah,
we got a month.
Yep.
But I think we will. You can probably count on us for covering the keynote anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty big.
I guess I should. Yeah, I should defer to you. You think it'll be worth doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. It is that it's the consumer, announcement of the next version of Windows. That's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. We'll be there then. I'll talk to Mr. Mike Elgin and we'll do live coverage.
Good.
And then we'll do Windows Weekly. It'd be great if we could do it from the hall there with you.
That's what we're hoping.
You bring over
that's
Joe
what we'd like to see.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't know the agenda for the day. They haven't told us that. Right. So all we hear is it's all day. That's all we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can sneak in something for lunch. There are 2 new patches too for the existing build 9879.
Yes.
Did they fix OneDrive?
No. So actually, one of these patches is the 4th or 5th attempt to fix this Explorer.exe crashing problem. I haven't looked at that because I have installed this newer build now. I might actually go back to 9879 just to see if they ever figured it out. But I think they might have fixed that. Did we miss the Windows Mobile bit though?
Oh,
we might want to.
Yeah, well, we talked last week about the fact that they're going to use the term Windows Mobile.
Well,
what is that?
We think, right? We think that could be maybe even the final name for this combined SKU for tablets and Windows Phone. They may call it Windows Mobile. We're not positive, but that's just kind of how people are referring to it when they're talking to us.
I'd really like to see it be called Windows Mobile.
You would?
Yeah.
Why?
You saying that sarcastically?
No, I think it's a good name.
He's the imp of the perverse. That's why.
No, it's not. Like I said last week, I was joking, but last week, but I really don't think the name is compromised in any way. I think it's fine.
Well, they own it at least.
Yeah. Is that Windows RT?
So it's a combined version of what is currently Windows RT and what is currently Windows Phone. It's going to be one operating system that works on Intel-based tablets, ARM-based tablets, meaning small tablets, and Windows Phone, which is ARM. So it's not Windows RT as we know it today, but it's kind of the next evolution of that when you munge in Windows Phone OS.
Have we seen the last products, the Windows RT products? That's the last of it, right?
Well, there are rumors that Microsoft might not make any more ARM-based Surfaces, but we don't know that for a fact. We also don't know for a fact whether this new operating system will work on current Windows RT-based Surfaces. Microsoft hasn't said that either. So we don't really know on that how that's going to work out.
All right.
It makes me sad because I have the original Surface RT. I would like to update it.
Yeah.
But
somebody
I don't know
called
if
the radio show and said, "Was I suckered? What's the future of Windows RT?"
Yeah.
And I actually gave the answer that you just did, which is, well, it's probably going to be merged with Windows Phone. It won't be called RT anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't know for sure.
Yeah, not including a convertible type device like a Surface or whatever. I think when you look at Windows tablets, especially probably the best sellers are probably smaller tablets. a Windows Phone style OS and interaction model makes a lot of sense on those devices. I think that, I don't really think it matters what they call it, but I think that kind of system could work pretty well. The issue, as always, is the maturity of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's there yet.
Their message that they want to portray is everything is just Windows, even though it really is a different operating system. They want people to just think this is all Windows. It's not like Windows RT here and Windows Phone here. They want you to think it's Windows. And so if you call it Windows Mobile with a small m even, it just says this is Windows, but shrunk down for mobile. So it kind of makes sense.
True. I really feel like one of the many mistakes Microsoft has made with Windows 8 was having 3 identical looking operating systems that are in fact not compatible.
Yeah.
So this is a step in the right direction. Now it's only 2.
Yep. And the whole what's going to make it more compatible is this whole push they're doing to having a more common set of APIs across the different windows. Then you're going to have a more common set of developer tools. It's not going to be 100%. And, this is the whole thing. You keep hearing them talk about universal apps. This is what that means. You have to have platforms that have a lot more in common so that you can reuse your code when you're building for the different platforms.
Right.
So that's where they're going. They've said that, but they've been saying it for years. And they keep inching closer and closer. And Windows 10 is where they're going to actually get quite a bit closer with the one store and the one set of more common APIs. So I think that they've told us they wanted to do it. But because it's taken so long, a lot of people are like, oh, they can't do it. But they're doing it.
They're going to do it.
They're going to do it. They have to do it.
Right.
One runtime, too. That makes a big difference.
That's what that was the whole thing that Nadella said that confused the hell out of everybody, the one window.
Yeah.
So really I think that, at least for somewhat technical people, the idea is really, well, there's an ARM Windows and there's an Intel Windows. That's really what we're saying. And the ARM Windows, of course, will be on ARM devices, which is primarily mobile devices, low-power devices.
Yeah, primarily
but
phones.
And this interesting, well, it's still a rumor, but the rumor is this mobile SKU that we're talking about for Windows 10, it'll also work on Intel-based small tablets.
Oh, you just screwed up my whole taxonomy here. So it's ARM or Intel.
We first thought it was what you just said, like ARM and Intel. But now we think it's desktop,
this is the
or like desktop
thing, right?
mobile.
Like Windows RT doesn't just have to be ARM.
It doesn't have.
Well, and as Hal in the chat room says, when Intel starts fabbing ARM chips, then what do you say? Because they're gonna.
Yeah. Right.
So.
Sure. Yeah.
But from those of us coming from an
matter.
earlier time in computing, we're very clear that different CPUs had different instruction sets. There were significant differences.
But this is not.
But this
is not the case anymore.
Yeah, because it is the case, but the operating systems now operate at this kind of higher
at a higher level,
and so it doesn't matter anymore.
PowerPC versus x86 was a big deal. RISC versus CISC.
And to some degree, that's what ARM and Intel are still.
Right, but the difference is if you buy an Android device, you could buy a low-end Android device. It's running on an Atom processor.
It's on a virtual machine.
You don't even know that it doesn't matter. It just works.
Yep.
And I think Microsoft's goal with Windows is maybe to get it to that point as well.
Yeah.
The problem is always going to be the legacy desktop stuff because that's probably never going to run properly on.
And they still want, for performance reasons, to run the bare to the metal. You don't want to run on a virtual machine all the time.
Well, for the mobile software. I mean, in other words, the
runtime,
the modern apps or whatever that run on top of that RT runtime.
Right. And we've said this, but let's say it again. We think on this mobile SKU, there is not going to be a desktop. So this is how they're going to get away from how do you run the legacy apps on this? You don't.
There's no desktop.
Yep, you don't.
Just as with RT. Wait a minute. No, there was a desktop.
There was, but that was mostly
that was
for Office.
Yeah. And it was only for Microsoft stuff. Yeah. It wasn't for third-party apps. Yeah. So it was kind of a desktop.
That's why that was kind of terrible for people because I think you see that and you have certain expectations.
Yeah, it was terrible all around.
But there are hints of this. If you have a certain type of Lumia device or any Windows Phone, and you go into the Windows Phone store, you can't actually run 100% of all Windows Phone apps and games on every single device. There's always going to be some reason why some app or some game won't run on your device. For some games, it's because of RAM. For some settings apps, it's because you have to have a Lumia and you might have to have a certain version of Windows Phone. And so it doesn't give you the chance to be disappointed. You don't see the thing that you can't run. You just see the things you can run. And I think that getting rid of the desktop might help just psychologically, because it's not there.
I completely. It makes having a desktop makes a nonverbal promise, and a promise that you couldn't keep, and just eliminating that eliminates that promise. And no, I completely think that's important.
Yeah.
Let's take a break.
And the leaked. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
And that leaked build that we talked about at the beginning, 9901. You can see they're starting to take some of their own programs that required the desktop, and they're making them into the Metro style app. So, a lot of the things that before were like some of the settings and all, they're turning them into Metro style apps. So that's showing you why you're not going to need the desktop. Plus, we know Touch Office is coming, Touch First Office, which we've been calling Gemini. It should be out around the same time. So those are the things you needed the desktop for on Windows RT. If they really have Metro versions of those, you won't need them.
Well, that and Notepad.
Wait, no. Notepad already ran, didn't it?
Don't scare Mary
RT.
Jo. That's mean.
There was Notepad RT.
Don't make me pull this podcast over.
That's what I'm saying. You need a modern Notepad.
You have a modern
We
notepad.
have it, Paul.
Motepad.
It exists.
Motepad.
Motepad. It exists.
MOTE or MOAT?
Right. Either one.
Yeah.
No, you scared Mary Jo. That was mean.
I know. I like a panic.
She did. She freaked.
I realized there is a modern Notepad already, so all is good.
We're gonna take a break, but I actually have a question for you. Somebody in the radio show called, and she was a writer, and I think a novelist, and she had been using for years Multimate. I know Paul remembers that.
Jeez.
Yep.
And I said, "Is that because it had the Wang commands?" And she said, "Yes."
Wow.
Yeah.
But her husband did something, got her a new computer or something. And she said, oh, no, I have Windows 8 now. I can't run Multimate anymore.
Right. So when you said she had run Multimate at the time, I assumed you meant the 1970s.
She was using an old computer that I guess was Multimate compatible in some way. Maybe it was Windows 98 or something. I don't know.
Wow.
I think there was a DOS version of Multimate, wasn't there?
I think there was, yep.
Well, sure.
Anyway, she wanted to write a program for writing. Now, I don't think she cared if it was Wang compatible.
Right.
I don't. Okay. Although I want to tell you that Steve Gibson uses Brief, which is a long-standing DOS kind of programming editor. And I believe that he has, and one of the reasons people use Brief because you could give it key bindings from any word processor known to man. I believe he was using the word star keystrokes.
Sure. Leo, I feel like we're doing a show from the past.
Remember,
next up is Byte Magazine columnist.
It is.
This is an insane conversation.
I know, but I'm an old guy.
Does she want to run Multimate on Windows 8?
No, I think what she wants is something she'll be happy with writing her novels, and I think she wants a distraction and free environment.
Has she never heard of Microsoft Word?
I think she looked. Yes, she has. She has it.
She thinks it's too.
It's got too. She's distracting the ribbons, and there's too much stuff. She wants something simple.
In the Windows Store on Windows 8, there are a lot of programs. I'm just blanking on the name now, but there are these unadorned writing programs.
Like
There's quite a few of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yes. But
I know. Why do you want those? Yeah.
But here's the thought. No, I mean, if you already have Word, hide the ribbon. If you look at Microsoft Word
you
with
can
the
make
ribbon
it a clean interface.
hidden, it is the cleanest looking thing you've ever seen.
Some people.
I mean, there's nothing to it.
Some people like if I know writers who take Solitaire and Minecraft off their computer because that just knowing it's there is too much of a temptation.
Right.
Okay, but here I'm going to paste this into the show notes. I don't know when it will appear.
Okay.
But I mean, this is what Word looks like.
No, I believe you.
Just hide the ribbon. No, it's just all I did was click one thing to make it look like this.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sure it'll appear right away.
Yeah.
No, it is. Word is fairly clutter free, but then some people get all hung up on like, oh, what do I have to do to bold something, or like, they want something that's so basic.
Yeah, I mean, I gave her some choices. There's actually.
There it is.
Yeah, it's pretty clean. So what's this home Insert design.
Those are the ribbons.
What is that?
Those are the
I
ribbon.
don't want that.
Come on.
What is this? What it looks
Come
like?
on.
Do you remember floppy disks? Well, they still exist apparently.
Oh, that actually is a little odd, isn't it?
That's an anachronism.
That is. That's funny.
But she would remember him because she's using Multimate.
Actually, she probably is confused by the icon because it appears to be a 3.5 inch
What is
floppy.
this? It's a diskette.
Yeah.
We don't use those here, diskettes.
By the way, she's running Windows 8. She probably, depending on what version she has, she could have Hyper-V. She could run an older version of Windows and run Multimate.
She could probably run. What I found for her, actually, that was kind of interesting, is a web-based text editor called Draft. It's at Draft. It's free. It's draftin.com. It supports markup. It has a very clean edit view, but you can also collaborate, which is kind of cool. This is the edit view. And you know what? Why not do it on the web? Now, I mean, if that's all you're doing.
I mean, if you're going to go fly forward in time anyway, you might as well go right from the 1970s to warp speed.
The future. The future is here. The future is now. Our show today brought to you by The Way I Read in the Future, Audible.com. Now, see, part of the thing, we always have these Audible deals where you get a free book, right? Oh, The Complete Saint?
Saint, I know. I saw that.
Roger Moore is the saint. Wow, Leslie Charteris is famous, more famous because of the TV show. And again, this is even older than Multimate. But I bet these are great books, don't you think? And there's a lot of them.
I am gonna try the first one.
Simon Templar, the cunning and debonair anti-hero. I think this might actually be great. Pre James Bond. Before Bond, there was the Saint. They also have. So look, I've got a free book for you. That's the kind of the bottom line here at audible.com/windows. And the problem is, of course, you got to pick one. Of course, if you become an Audible member, you get a new book every month. But what do you pick? Have you read the new Stephen King yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So is it good?
I liked Mr. Mercedes better, which was the previous one.
All right.
But it's not bad.
So Paul's later in the show going to have his top 5 Audible books of the year. So you might want to stay
And he's
tuned.
writing a sequel to that, by the way, Mr. Mercedes.
I'm going to listen with great interest because I love Audible. In the car, it changed my life when I was commuting. I got to read a couple hours every day. Man, that's golden. I'd get in the car and drive around the block just to listen a little more. Walking the dog, doing the dishes. Audible is and exercise. It's so boring unless you have Audible. And imagine, Sissy Spacek reading To Kill a Mockingbird. Wouldn't that be awesome? She would be that kid. That's what's great about Audible is these are not just somebody reading. These are somebody bringing these books to life.
Was self-sufficient, modest in comparison with
Scout,
the empires
right? Yeah.
around it. The landing nevertheless produced everything required to sustain life except ice, wheat.
I want you to try Audible. If you go to audible.com/windows, you're going to sign up for the gold account. That's a book a month, plus the daily digest of the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. And your first 30 days are free. You cancel in that first 30 days, you won't have to pay anything. You will get to keep the book forever. Don't worry. Wow, there's so much good stuff here. Audible.com/windows. Try it today. You might want to wait till the end of the show. Paul's going to give you some Audible picks. His 5 favorite books of the year. But you did notice on the front page, they are also giving you a list of the best books of 2014. Your 5, by the Audible readers, because they're Audible reviews. That's pretty tempting, too.
That's interesting. Yeah, so Mr. Mercedes is in there. That's a really good one.
Oh, and Amy Poehler's, I got to get this. Yes, please. Audible.com/windows. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. Drink locally, drink lager. Mary Jo, drink lager Foley. We're talking Windows here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move to the next agenda item, Arcadia. What is that?
This is a very interesting little tip that somebody passed on to me. Microsoft is developing something codenamed Arcadia that looks like it's going to be a streaming, gaming, and app service. And if you remember back at the company meeting in 2013, they privately demoed something that was codenamed Rio, that was a game streaming service that they built on top of Azure. Well, my sources are telling me that they, sometime since then, decided to discontinue work on Rio, and instead now they're going all in on this Arcadia service.
They're even running ads now for how Destiny uses Azure.
Yep. Yep. I know. Kind of odd, but it's the cloud first, mobile first, right? Yeah. And they want everything to reflect that mission
But
statement.
Azure's the cloud?
Yep. Azure's the cloud.
What the hell, man? What the hell? So what is Arcadia based on?
So we don't know a whole lot about it. They're just starting to staff up the team. It's going to be a team inside of Terry Myerson's organization. There's 2 Microsoft job postings that I linked to in my story about this week that talk about the streaming mission that they have now, an operating system group. And based on the fact that they're just staffing this up now, I think they're still pretty far away from debuting it. So a lot of people have been saying, oh, wow, maybe this is January 21st. They're going to show this and it's going to be ready. No, it's way further out than that, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
But it's interesting they're doing this. One other part of this tip that was very interesting is we've been reporting for a while that Microsoft has been mulling over whether or not to allow customers to run Android apps on Windows Phone and on Windows. That plan is not dead yet. And at some point, one of my sources told me this week that they were thinking about doing that through streaming. And this would have been something they did through Arcadia. But now, supposedly, they've decided that's not the way to get Android apps running well on Windows Phone or on Windows. So Arcadia is not going to be part of that. But the idea of running Android apps on those platforms is not dead. So they are thinking still of other ways they could do this. And the reason they would do it is to try to eliminate the app gap that they have now with both platforms compared to Android. And yes, we know that if they do this, they're going to really alienate their developer base. We know that already. They know that too, I'm sure. So that's why it's not a plan set in stone at this point to do that, but it's something they still are contemplating and supposedly still building. So it is a plan B, basically. If we can't get the universal app strategy to get us to where we want to be with apps, maybe we'll give users the option to run Android. So yeah, a lot of interesting little things feeding into that whole Arcadia. And if you're wondering where the code name came from, it's from Halo, like a lot of their recent code names are. Yeah. So that's all I know about it right now, which is not a whole lot. But it's definitely something they're doing. People have said, oh, it's just maybe something they're thinking about. No, it is something that's happening since they're staffing it up right now.
I understand what game streaming would be. What is app streaming?
I wonder if it's kind of like what Citrix does, right? I mean, let you run apps.
Yeah.
That
like
way?
AppV or whatever that Microsoft has. It's in other words, it's a sort of cloud-hosted VDI solution where you're streaming an app over the internet. Actually, you can do it in Office 365. You can stream Office apps
before you fully installed it.
No. I mean, you don't even have to fully install it. If you're using someone else's computer, go to office365.com and log in. You can stream Word or whatever down, write your stuff, save it up to your OneDrive, and then when you close Word, it's not on their computer anymore. Just streaming it.
Yeah, they need to figure out ways. They need to figure out ways to get people to continue to use Windows. If they're giving Windows away for free, they're not making money on Windows as much. Right. So the way they do that is they create services that they charge you for that you attach to Windows. This is one of those kind of services. We don't know, obviously we don't know how much that would cost or what kind of subscription you'd have to run something like this. But I'm sure this is part of that whole thinking around here's how we monetize Windows. We come up with these kind of services that people pay for, even if they don't pay for the operating system itself.
I guess it could also help in those circumstances where people are not using Windows and you get them to pay for some service where you're streaming apps to them, which are in fact Windows apps.
Yeah, and it's curious because I wonder if this Arcadia service also will work on iOS and Android or not, because in the job postings, they are looking for people who have iOS and Android experience. But that doesn't mean it will. But it could just mean they want people who know how to write those kind of apps that they would stream on Windows. So it could go either way. It could be like, hey, this is one of those services you must be on Windows to be able to take advantage of. Or it could be, this is a service for everybody.
Yeah, that seems more like the new strategy, doesn't it?
Kind of does, yeah. They need some crown jewels, though, for Windows users, right? I think. We need to have something that you can say, hey, that's only on Windows, and that's why I run Windows.
Why?
Because why do you use Windows otherwise?
You don't need to. Just use our services.
Yeah.
In fact,
honestly,
that's where they're moving.
It really is kind of going there. It's going to...
What do you care?
Yeah, I know.
Right? If you're giving me $10 a month, I don't care why.
I think we might have hit on this topic sort of last week. I was talking about mobile OSs essentially being app launchers and how it doesn't really matter. You use an iPhone, you use an Android device, whatever. You're running apps.
You don't care, yeah.
But if that is the future, if that's the majority of people that are using personal computing device, or consuming personal computing services on devices, Windows doesn't have a big role in that world, and Microsoft needs to make money in other ways.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right. Yeah, I think they have to just acknowledge that the days of Windows being the cash cow are over.
Yeah, they know that. They definitely know that.
But there's a good transition here because everybody's going to the cloud. Cloud is platform agnostic. Cloud is the platform. Cloud is Windows. Get them to use the Microsoft Cloud. It's just like saying use Windows. It's the same thing, and better because they have to pay every month.
Yeah,
for the services.
That's the thinking. Yeah. Subscriptions, right?
Yeah, it's better. It's better. Yep. We never could get anybody to subscribe to Windows except big enterprise. So let's get them to subscribe to the cloud. I think this. I don't think that's the end of the world. It's kind of it's a big transition for a company.
Here's the question I have. Office 365 is often held up as an example of them getting the cloud right. And I think that's a fair thing to say. But there's a big question here. This year, Microsoft has given out Office 365 Personal on millions and millions of devices. Some of them are ridiculous little devices that have no business running Office in the first place, whatever. $69.99 value. When next year comes and that person is asked to resubscribe to the service and actually pay for it, what percentage of people do you think are actually going to do that? I bet it's going to be really low.
Well, that's okay. So there's an upside and a downside to subscription. The upside is it's an annuity that you get a check every month, and it's more predictable. The downside is there's churn.
The downside is it's like a faucet. You can turn it off.
Right. There's churn. But
anytime you want.
But I think there's also lock-in. And this is what Apple has learned is no problem. We'll just lock you into our ecosystem. You don't pay your money. What are you going to do?
But here's the problem. They're bundling this Office thing on devices that, like I said, have no business running Office, in many cases. In fact, Office 365 Personal most often comes for free on the cheapest, lowest-endest devices. What it should be coming for free on is Surface and a $1,500 Lenovo ThinkPad or whatever, because those are the guys who are going to be able to afford and will be, in fact, using Office and will then start paying.
3/4 of the people who buy streams, when their Office subscription runs out, will not renew.
Listen, PC buyers don't even pay for antivirus when that runs out. Right. Why would they pay for Office?
Here's the lock-in, though, right? If you use Office 365 and you put things into the OneDrive and then you stop paying, how do you get your stuff?
I think
it's
now
in Office.com, and you have Office Online, and those things open all those documents just fine.
You can still open it.
You can see that you can open them, but you can't modify them, right?
No, you can.
With Office 365. Or whatever
with Office for free on OneDrive.com.
Yeah.
You can.
So if you stop subscribing to...
No, I'm talking about, these are web apps.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so you're not talking about like if you use a web app and you save your stuff.
I see what you're saying. In other words, the applications on their computers may still work for viewing.
Right. Yeah, the apps can stay free, right? But then if you put your stuff up there, just like Xbox Music, right? You subscribe to it, you put you have some of the subscription music on your phone, and if you stop paying, that goes away, right?
But Okay.
It doesn't really. However, Paul, I see what you're saying. It doesn't really because you could go to
your documents are always
online.
there.
You haven't lost
you
your
go to
documents.
OneDrive.com. You can click on them.
You can even edit them.
You can edit them. You make new ones.
Yeah.
So you have to be online.
Microsoft's going to watch this carefully, I bet, and will titrate. They will maybe change what you can do for free.
I think that I've always thought it odd that the low, cheap things are the ones that get this stuff for free.
Right.
I think the people who pay a lot of money for a high-end computer need to get it for free. And the cheapos that buy the $99 thing need to get nothing for free. They're getting a $99 tablet. Why did they need Office?
Yeah, but I think they're looking at who will pay, right? Businesses, when they get Office, oftentimes their employer pays and they get a bulk subscription to Office for everybody. And so you just get that, right? And
Google's doing the same thing. Google Drive is cheap. I mean, free. The Google apps are free unless you use it in business.
I just think the individual who has the computer. In other words, to the business, it doesn't matter because, like you said, they're licensing Office, whatever.
Part of the deal.
If I walk into a Best Buy or a Microsoft store or whatever, that computer should come with Office 365 something for free if it's over a certain amount of money. I mean, that's the type of person, especially someone buying a real computer that would, in fact, need Office, experience that for a year. It doesn't have to be a year. It could be 6 months, whatever. And would want that thing, once they experienced it.
I think they're just counting on them paying. Being able to pay,
I think it's
right?
Listen, we've already established these people don't pay a lot. I don't think they're going to change their stripes next year, and certainly not on this $99 tablet.
Yeah. I think their hope, though, is if, say, you're an Android customer and you buy, for some reason, you get a Windows tablet or you buy one and it's, one of those cheap ones. Okay, then you get these free apps and suddenly you're like, hey, you know what? Office is actually kind of good. Then when your subscription ends, you're like, well, you know what? I want to continue that. And now I will pay for it because I'm kind of hooked into it. Either my documents are stored somewhere where I have to pay to get at them, or I'm really used to using it now and I'm willing to pay for it. I don't know. I think that's kind of where their heads are at when they're thinking of this.
I completely believe that's the theory. I just don't
believe it.
I don't believe it's going to happen. We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know. We will see. Yep.
I mean, I think Office 365 is an awesome value. Again, I'll be misconstrued on this one. I'm not complaining about Office 365 is great. I'm just saying, I don't think that this audience is necessarily going to be paying for this thing after a year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. That's what they're banking on, right? So
there's some goofy things too. I don't know if you've noticed this. So I pay for Office 365 Home. They just call it now. The family version of the subscription. Yeah. So I buy a $99 HP Stream tablet. It comes with a free version of Office 365 Personal. Neat. Except I can't use that subscription because my user ID is tied to the Home subscription. You can't have both in the same subscription. I can't free up a license on the Home unless I remove that ID from it. And they need to figure that kind of goofy thing out too, because now they're giving this thing away. It's like a prize in a box of Cracker Jacks. Mm-hmm. These Office 365 personal things are everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll figure it out.
They're smart people.
They're smart people. They must have a plan, right? They must have something in mind, right?
What was it Mary Jo said earlier? We're going to take this one at face value.
Right.
Yeah, let's just take it at face value.
It's the new Windows Weekly. We take everything at face value.
Yep. You're right.
Oh,
they have a plan. What am I talking about? I'm sorry.
Come on. Hey, I can buy Windows Phone 8.1 on Sprint. I'm going to take that at face value.
It's everything you just said is true.
Yeah.
So that was you couldn't though, huh?
Right. I mean, Sprint is the one company that makes Verizon look like a pretty decent wireless carrier. So this month you're going to through some Boost Mobile, and I can't remember the name of the other one. They're going to start selling. I
think it's Virgin, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Virgin Mobile, which I guess are Sprint company. They use Sprint's spectrum. They're going to start selling the 635, the Lumia 635, $99 off contract. And then starting in January, I think you'll be able to get it through Sprint, actually, through Sprint. So, low-end phone. It's a nice phone for what it is. I'm glad they're back. There was some talk in the press release about Microsoft and Sprint renewing their relationship over Windows Phone. So maybe we'll see some more stuff there. That's about all I have to say about that.
Sprint all into Sprint.
Take that one at face value.
I was just, I used T-Mobile because
I'm heading in that direction.
I just did my, because nobody uses, T-Mobile's pretty good in Petaluma, and I don't think anybody uses it. So I just did
you have really a strong connection because you're the only one on the network.
Speed test on T-Mobile. Let me just tell you what the numbers were.
Okay.
34.5 megabits down, 24.5 megabits up on 4G.
All right, so you have better upload speed than I do at home, which is really irritating.
I could get 4K movies. I mean, that's...
So maybe what I should be doing is the podcast over T-Mobile on my phone.
I'm thinking...
This
is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But that's because no one uses it. And so that's why we don't want anybody to know about T-Mobile.
Okay, that's enough
Keep
on that.
Keep using Sprint, kids.
Sprint is great.
You can use any Windows Phone on T-Mobile, right? Because you just buy an unlocked one.
Yeah, I think the problem's going to be the speeds. It might just be HSPA.
Yeah, you have to find out. Does it support?
By the way, I've been using an international 735 on AT&T HSPA Plus.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine. It's so fast because no one uses it. You're not fighting other people.
This is AT&T.
AT&T. Yeah. No, the 1520 I had, I was using remember the Latin American 1520 on T-Mobile, and it worked great. And so that's what I just do. I mean, you can get an unlocked phone, and T-Mobile does have a pretty good range of Windows phones, as I remember.
Not really.
No.
They do have Windows. They offer Windows. They have a 635 too. I think is what they have.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody has that.
Yeah,
T-Mobile really wants you to buy your own phone and bring it to T-Mobile. Really, that's kind of what they want. They don't want to have to.
Yes, and so the only reason I haven't switched in many ways is because for them to pay off my contract, I would have to give them my phone.
That's right.
And in my case, I have 3 phones.
That's right.
So I don't want to do that. I don't mind going to T-Mobile fresh and bringing my own phone in. That would be that'd be fine. Yeah. And maybe that's where it heads. Yeah.
Microsoft change. Okay, so they put out OneDrive for Windows Phone.
Yeah, this is worth spending a lot of time on. But they did a OneDrive update to Windows Phone about a month ago. Actually, might have been October.
Yeah, and
it looked exactly like the version for Android. And boy, did people freak out. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but Windows community can be a little sensitive.
Everybody. All I see on Google Plus now is why isn't my Moto 360 updated to 5.01?
Yeah.
This is the new thing. Bitching that you don't have the latest version of something. Like what's taking and they should walk a mile in Windows Phone users' shoes. I was waiting for Cyan. I never got it. I bricked my phone.
Yeah.
Because I was impatient about Cyan.
The next one's coming, Leo. The next firmware update.
What color? Bittersweet shimmer?
It's denim colored.
Denim. Oh, it's a D. CD. Okay, I get it.
Anyway,
but you know what's funny about the OneDrive thing? I didn't even notice they had changed the UI.
I thought it looked good.
I thought it looked okay. Yeah.
So here's what's goofy.
Android. That's all right.
If you were to look at the pictures of them side by side, what you will see, of course, is that the new version is exactly like the old version, just with some white instead of the blue. And the addition of the thing that people were, I think what they were really complaining about, not so much the look and feel, but it got rid of the Windows Phone style navigation, a pivot control. And so they put the pivots back. It's where you see the little text at the top where you can tap on each one to go to the next page. And so that was their concession. So it still has the hamburger menu, which is kind of an Android type thing.
Everybody does that.
Everybody uses it. But, it just it had that, how material design is with the solid colors, opaque colors.
Yeah.
It looked like that. It really looked like an Android 5 app before, and people freaked. So they fixed it.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I don't even notice. It's like, okay. Yeah.
I thought it looked fine. I saw that. This is nice.
And you know why they are making them look like each other? So they can update them all at the same time, right? And you can just update the Android version, the Windows version, everything at once. So if they look more alike and they act more alike, it's easier to update them.
Is everything in denim going to be, blue jean?
No.
That would be good, though.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
The one thing that Microsoft and before it, Nokia had, or always did wrong, in my opinion, was they commingled the firmware update with the OS update, you know, and so they'll talk about like coming in denim is, you know, folders on the start screen.
Very confusing.
It's like, no, that's not where that comes. That
so
comes from Windows.
Cyan and denim are firmware updates,
right? Only for the Lumia handsets.
They're a Lumia thing.
Yep.
And then Windows 8.1 update or whatever, that's software update.
It's for everybody,
Yeah.
Well, not everybody.
Not everybody.
Not for Verizon users. Sorry.
Anybody.
Didn't mean to pick on that scab.
Don't bring that up, please.
But that's the problem with this denim thing. You know, they announced Cyan essentially, I guess, with Windows 8.1, you know, back in April. Denim is going to be commingled with Windows Phone 8.1 Update 1, but they actually completed that quite a while ago, and a lot of people have it on their developer preview phones and so forth. It's kind of a known quantity. So it's really it's not actually very clear at all what denim brings to the table. I think there are going to be some camera improvements and stuff like that. Microsoft doesn't talk about any of that stuff. So it's kind of a mystery update, but the big problem, of course, is it was supposed to start happening before the end of the year, which is why I think they're talking about it now. It hasn't really happened for almost anybody. I guess, did Mary Jo, did you say China or something? Yeah,
today or yesterday, it started rolling out to users in China, according to Windows Central. They say Lumia 520, 525, 526, 625, 720, 720T, and the 1320 are all getting it in China.
I'm sorry.
We don't know. I think the next group of people to get it will be people with unlocked phones in other regions. And the speculation is because Microsoft posted this YouTube video about denim today, that it must be relatively soon.
It's in the Microsoft Lumia support channel. It's called Lumia, How to Update to Lumia Denim.
Yeah. Step 1, don't hold your breath.
Step 1, don't be on
You just look and see. It'll say, hey, we've got an update for you.
You don't have to go and look for anything. It will just tell you. There's nothing to do. It will, you'll
right.
3/4 of the video is like how to make more room, or
it is. And so we know a couple things, like Paul said, the camera update, Lumia camera updates in denim, and the ability to say, hey, Cortana, and automatically activate Cortana with voice. So that's in denim. But you know, us Verizon users who still don't have Cyan, we keep hearing rumors and no one's commenting really, but supposedly one rumor is when we get denim, we'll get everything because updates are cumulative. So we'll get denim and
Cyan.
And
it comes with 8.1. Well, it would be delivered. It requires 8.1, update 1. So they're delivered together. So you may have a couple of updates in a row.
We'll get a few updates, right?
You know, that's I don't want to call that wishful thinking. I hear this sentiment online a lot. I hope that's what happens. Personally, I wouldn't bet money on it, but I do hope that.
We don't know anything about still, because people ask us this every day pretty much. We don't know when Verizon is going to get any of these updates. Microsoft doesn't know or won't say, and Verizon is not saying either. We don't know anything. We're not holding back on you guys.
If you buy a phone that was released in roughly the second half of this year, Lumia phone, a 735, 730, 830, 535, possibly a few others I might not be thinking of. They are already come with this, right? So this software is out in the world. You know, it's on new devices. And so if you're on Verizon, I believe that Verizon already said they would be selling the 735 in early 2015. And so, it will technically be possible to get denim on Verizon. Soon. Soonish.
You know, I was all excited last, I guess it was a few days ago, I got an email from Microsoft saying, congratulations, you're invited to Sway. And I thought, wow, finally. And then
by the way, so you might have been on the same thing I was, because I also was invited to Sway one day before they invited everyone on the planet.
What the hell?
You know, I had the same experience.
Double HE hockey sticks. So it's out. In fact,
Mary Jo's made a Sway. We should look at Mary Jo's.
I made a Sway.
I'm impressed because I started making a Sway and then I gave up.
Yeah, they added some things in this update that made it possible. They added an undo button and a redo button.
Oh, that's nice.
Which, before it was really frustrating. If you did something wrong, you couldn't go back.
So to play your sway, do I click it? What do I do?
You just scroll up.
Oh,
I made mine vertically.
Scrollable. I see.
Yeah, you can have it horizontal or vertical. Right now, they're going to add more.
That one you just went by, is that Denmark beer from San Francisco?
Click that. Yeah,
I like this.
Isn't that cute?
That's really neat.
Yeah. I didn't have to do anything. I have no design skills whatsoever. You just say, hey, put this picture over here. I want to put my text over there, and that's it.
And you can go big on any one.
Yep.
That's nice. And then this. This reminds me a little of the iOS app Storehouse, which does this, but doesn't have that cool picture thing.
That's my mug right there from Rattle.
Where? This?
Yep.
No crap on tap?
Yep.
Why doesn't it have your name?
It does. It's on the other side.
How come, Mary Jo, when you took a picture of it, you didn't kind of put yourself in the picture, held your camera out at...
What's wrong with you? You got to go like this.
Right. I know, like everyone else does. Sorry.
Is that your personal slogan, or is that Rattle and Hum's slogan?
That's Rattle and Hum's slogan.
It could be your personal slogan.
It could be. Yeah, so a sway, they call these things sways. And I've seen a lot of people saying this is their successor to PowerPoint, but it's not really that. It's more of a design program. So it allows people who don't have any design knowledge or skills to create these things that have combined text and graphics and photos and make it look nice just by the natural language, the machine learning and some of the other capabilities that they build in. So I don't know anything about design. That's why I'm a disaster on making PowerPoints. And so for me, this is great. I just click some things and hit a button and boom, there.
And so now as a viewer, I could share it on Facebook or Twitter.
Yep.
I could share a link.
Yep.
I could get an embed code. And then does this exist, this is on sway.com. Do they have like a directory of sways or?
When you sign in, it says here are your sways. So all your sways are in one place.
All your sways belong to us.
But you can also see, other sways.
Yeah. And you don't have to have Sway installed to see it, like you don't, obviously.
Yeah. This is just in the browser.
In fact, even if you had Sway, because it's only on iOS, I think, you can't download this stuff. There's no offline version of a Sway. It's on the web.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
That's interesting in and of itself.
Yeah.
So get started by swaying, then Sways We Love, which Mary Jo should be in there.
Nice.
My
yeah,
Sway.
it's an interesting
I started
little
one. December 9th is when I got Sway. And
you should try it again because it's a lot easier to use than when I first tried making one too.
And then this is now part of Office 365. Or Office Online, I should say.
You can, Microsoft made Sway one of the new Office apps. So it's one of the very first new Office apps they've added in a long time.
Neat. Sway. This is the Harry's kit. This is the Winston, which is a very affordable kit. So here's the deal. The guys who started Harry's, Jeff, one of them was the guy who did Warby Parker, and he learned at Warby Parker, look, there are businesses in the world where monopolies or just, I don't know, somehow, I guess razor companies have made monopolies because once you buy the handle, you have to buy their blades, have really made it possible for them to jack up the prices, and you have no choice. If a Gillette Fusion blade's like $4, and you have to buy 10 of them. I mean, it's ridiculous. Actually, the last time I bought Fusion blades a few months ago before I found Harry's, I put them in the basket at Target, and then I realized how much they were, and I put it back. I said, I can't do it. I need a loan. So Harry's came along, and they said, what we want to do is sell direct. We want excellent blades and excellent razors. We're not going to sacrifice. We're not going to skimp there. But we believe if we control the channel, we make them ourselves, that we can get the price below $4. They're actually about half as much. And they are better blades because the other thing Jeff did, he said, where are the best blades? 2 factories in Germany make the best blades. 2. And they bought one of them. So Harry's, they own their own factory in Solingen, Germany. That's where the best blades are made. So you're getting these amazing blades at a fraction of the cost of a Gillette Fusion or those other brand names. And plus, you don't have to get the clerk to unlock them for you. You know, they'll chase you down if you steal razor blades. You could take something else from the store, but they will hound you to your grave if you take a razor blade. These are engineered for sharpness, for precision. I love these. So what we did is we got a couple of kits. I got Winston's. Those are the nice engravable metal handles. These are the Trumans, which are $15, and they come in a variety of colors. Actually, Steve Gibson likes a Truman a little better. He likes the feel of the handle a little bit better. In each kit, you get the handle. You get 3 blades, which is really nice. All of this for $15, okay? You get the foaming shave gel, which smells fabulous, and even better, just makes your skin smooth. I think we don't throw this out. When you get this little piece of plastic, I think people throw this out. This is a travel holder, so you put your shaver in there, your razor in there, and you close it, and it lets it dry out, but it keeps you from cutting yourself, and then you put that in your DOP kit. Believe it or not, that might be the best thing I got. I love that. Harry's, HARRYS.com. And by the way, you're going to love the price. You're going to love the blades. You get the subscriptions, so they deliver them to your door, free shipping every single month. And by the way, you can get $5 off when you use the offer code WINDOWS. So now we're talking $10. Harry's, HARRYS.com. Enter the offer code WINDOWS at checkout. Get yourself the best shave you've ever had. And while you're there, you might try their aftershave lotion, which is also fabulous. Cool and smooth. We love getting our Harry's box every month. I have now 3 Harry's razors. I don't know. Maybe I have a Harry's Jones. I don't know. HARRYS, a great shave at a fraction of the price at harrys.com. Get $5 off your first order when you use our offer code WINDOWS. Windows Weekly on the air. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley. Skype. I saw this on CNN. This is a big story.
Nice.
Skype's doing translation.
Yep. We saw the first demo of Skype Translator in May.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what it is it's a feature of Skype that lets you in near real time talk to somebody who doesn't speak the same language as you. So you speak in your language, it gets translated, and they hear it in their language.
That is wild. How well does it work?
It is pretty crazy, right? They've been working on this for years. Microsoft Research has been doing a lot of work around the back-end technologies for natural language understanding and translation, and it's been something they've kind of had as a goal for years, and now it's finally in a first public preview for people who signed up and have Windows 8.1 devices and who want to do the language conversion from English to Spanish.
Okay, so you guys start speaking in Spanish. Let's see how it sounds.
Are you part of the preview, Leo?
Oh, it sounds great. It was in English. That's amazing.
Hey,
Keep talking.
It worked.
It really works. No,
It works so well.
For one thing, it doesn't go in that direction, right? It's just from English to Spanish, not Spanish to English.
I think it's bidirectional.
It's bidirectional?
I believe it's bidirectional.
And they're going to add other languages eventually, I presume.
They've got
Jump to
plans for a
Spanish.
lot of other languages.
You know, this is great because I can now just, when my cleaning lady comes, I can just Skype her.
Jeez. You'll be like in the same room, but using different computers.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't speak the language, but here, get on Skype. I can talk to you.
This is the Babelfish.
Man.
Yeah.
If this works well, huge.
Yeah, and
huge.
you know, there's other part. It's not just the audio-video conversation over Skype. It's also online chat through Skype that they're bringing this capability. And there's also going to be a transcription. So while you're talking, you're going to see a transcription of what's being said too. So it's not just what you hear; it's what you see as well.
So you have to sign up for this,
We
right?
do.
Okay.
You have to apply to be in this test. And then they're going to expand it over time. And they're also going to expand it to other kinds of operating systems. So it'll be on Android, it'll be on iOS over time. We don't know the whole rollout schedule, but that's the goal.
I want to see.
En América del Norte?
I want to see if this works.
Yes. Do you live in Central Mexico? Sí. ¿Te encuentras en Estados Unidos de América? Yes.
That's kind of
Do
amazing.
you live in a capital city? Sí.
I wish we could hear the translation.
¿Estás cerca de Seattle? You're very close to Seattle. Are you in Mexico City? Sí.
I'm gonna cry.
Yes.
I know, I love this kind of
I mean,
Very
this is
good
amazing.
Gracias.
This would change the world.
Do you like living in Mexico City?
¿Te gusta vivir en la Ciudad de México?
Aquí está muy lindo.
Here is very nice.
What do you do for fun?
¿Qué haces para divertirte?
I talk to Americans on Skype.
I'm going to the beaches of Mexico.
I like to swim.
Me gusta nadar.
So it's like any machine translation. It's not perfect. It's not idiomatic, but it's certainly intelligible.
¿A dónde en el mundo te gustaría viajar?
A Rusia.
To Russia.
¿Y tú?
And you?
Everywhere.
I'm blown away. That is just amazing.
Sería increíble algún día.
You know, it took the whole year, Leo, but we finally made a feel-good episode of Windows Weekly.
That is transformative technology.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. And yeah, you know, I mean, I guess we've had some of these capabilities, but putting it in Skype is great.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, is it using the Bing translation engine? Probably, right? Maybe not.
I know there is a Bing translator. I can't remember. They put out a whole video this week about how it works under the covers, but I didn't have a real good look at that.
Wow.
Sorry.
And I like it that they demoed it with students, because that's really one of the great uses of this is just bringing the world a little bit closer. Well, that is really cool.
It'll be great for teams, right, at work who work on teams across different geographic regions, and they have to try to collaborate or have meetings, and this will really help that case.
I
my microphone won't stay.
I know you have a limp mic. We're gonna have to.
I think I need to replace this.
Sometimes you know, as the arm gets older, it gets less.
It happens to everyone.
Resilient, or actually too resilient. It gives up quickly. Wow, I'm just blown away. That is really the stuff of sci-fi. That's the Babelfish right there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We're number one. I got to get a foam finger. Didn't we talk about this last week that Xbox One beat out PS4 in November? I thought we did.
Well, I think at the time it was just over, I don't know, Black Friday or something.
But this is now for the whole month.
Yeah, whole month of November.
Paul, just hunch over the microphone.
So all it took, Leo.
No, you don't need to. You sound fine.
I don't know why I have back problems. Yeah, all it took was a year of price cuts and free giveaways. But, you know, a win's a win. So I guess we'll take it.
Well, it shows you what you said all along, which is that this market is very price sensitive, and $100 makes a big difference.
Honestly, the most interesting thing about this isn't so much that they finally, met and then even exceeded the pricing, or went under.
Is
the
it less
pricing.
than a PS4? It's $329.
Yeah, $349 really to start right now. I mean, they're supposedly going to go back up. I don't see them ever doing that. It's that if you
don't
look
need to
at
make
what
a profit
you got
on this thing, they make the money on the games, right?
Yeah, it's the razor thing.
Yeah. Now we need a Harry's for Xbox One, and then we got to.
But if you compare what it took to get into Xbox One a year ago to today, it's night and day. And I honestly thought that the story this holiday season was going to be something along the lines of, well, it's a better deal. There are more games now. It's a little less expensive. Yada yada yada. But when you start looking at some of the deals we had over the holidays, $349, $329, $349 with a free game. I'm not saying it hit no-brainer status, but for people who are video game fans and aren't that really hardcore, core part of the market that are going to buy anything at any price, I think you've just opened the floodgates to a much wider audience of people. And I think the next big story to this is going to be when Sony drops the price of their console. And I think if Microsoft were to keep their price at this level, which I really recommend, they will, in effect, force Sony to do that. And that's a nice little comeuppance there,
Now, I also think, and I may be wrong, but I do think that the emergence of good exclusive games has helped as well. It didn't make sense to buy it if you couldn't play anything great on it. You can't play your old games, so nobody's going to buy it. So now that there's a decent array of good games,
that's improved.
I think that makes a difference too. You had to do both.
And they've done a good job. I still don't understand the Sony story here, but Microsoft has done a really good job, I think, with the living room stuff, that it's not just games. And, they have fitness type apps. They have obviously all the entertainment apps like Netflix and all that stuff. They have the TV integration with the pass-through, the voice command stuff, which I think is huge in the living room. And it's kind of the full package. It always was. It was just too expensive. So, we'll see.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as somebody who bought the Xbox One day one, I don't know if this. I mean,
yeah,
kind of makes me mad.
We were talking at the top of the show about the kind of negativity essentially online. Anytime something like this, here's another common one.
Yeah.
Microsoft just drops the price of the Xbox One. Great. Good thing I spent $500 on this piece of junk a year ago. What do I get? You kind of hear that kind of response a lot too. You got to use it for the year. That's what you got. So, I mean, nobody was forcing you to buy it.
There have been a lot of issues, and this isn't a Microsoft issue, but Assassin's Creed Unity, terrible mess ups. But this was an Xbox One only issue. The update to Xbox One.
Oh, the Halo thing?
No, on Assassin's Creed it deleted it and put a 40 gig.
Oh. Yeah. Well, the day one update for Halo was probably bigger than that one.
That was
I'm pretty sure mine is still updating from 2 months ago. Yeah. Yep. I guess when you start building gigantic hard drives into devices, game makers are going to use them. Yeah.
But I mean, I think game server issues are nothing new, and frankly, the success of maybe it was Titanfall, not Destiny, that uses Azure. It was Titanfall. The success of
that was the one I think they marketed.
Yeah, the rollout was so successful because Azure works so well.
Right.
That was pretty impressive. All right. Let's take a break. We got picks. We got stuff. We got beer. We got a lot of stuff. The back of the book coming up. But first, my friends, I want to tell you a little bit about. This is really for mobile developers or anybody managing a mobile app project. Of course, if you're selling something there, you want to have a payment system. Actually, even if it's just, every app should have a built-in payment system just in case. But it's complicated to put these things in, as you know, and you've probably investigated various ways of doing it. I want to point you toward Braintree Payments. It's just up the road, isn't it, Braintree?
Braintree, Massachusetts.
Braintree, Mass. I imagine they're in Braintree, Mass. They must be. I'm not sure where else the name would come from. Braintree is a mobile payment system for mobile app developers that makes it easy to code for online payments. And if you're looking for the right payments API, I really want you to go to braintreepayments.com/twit and take a look at their V.0 SDK. It makes it easy to support multiple mobile payment types. Start accepting Apple Pay, PayPal, Bitcoin, Venmo, and all major debit and credit cards with a few lines of code, less than 10 minutes, and you're good. Now, you see they have a sandbox at braintreepayments.com/twit. You can try it with with your own code and see how it works. They accept Bitcoin. I love that. And they also, of course, support Android, iOS, JavaScript clients, SDKs in 7 languages: .NET, Node.js, Java, Perl, PHP, Python, and Ruby. If you've used GitHub, you've used Braintree. If you use StubHub, Uber, Airbnb, Braintree backs the payments in all of these apps: Hotel Tonight, Living, Social. It's also, and your customers will appreciate this, the most secure way to pay. Their back-end security and merchant protection is the best in the business. You will never have to worry about fraud. If you get hacked, Braintree has you covered, but you won't get hacked because they use secure tokens, so users' credit card info is never passed on to the merchant server. It's just great. V.0, it's the SDK for you, 130 plus global currencies. BraintreePayments.com/twit. Take a look at the documentation there. Play around in the sandbox. You can try it with no commitment. Test your integration before going into production. After you integrate Braintree, as a thank you to Twit fans, they're going to give you your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. What? Yes. That's nice. BraintreePayments.com/twit. If you've been looking around, just do me a favor. Check it out. Go to the sandbox. Play with it. You'll see why so many of these big companies now, including Uber, Airbnb, GitHub, they all use it. BraintreePayments.com/twit. That's Paul Thurrott on the left. I recognize him anywhere. Mary Jo Foley on the right, if you're listening in stereo. And as always on this show, it's time for Paul's.
Wait.
What?
Do we actually come out in stereo like that? Or what is this, like a 1970s recording studio trick?
No, it's a trick. It's a trap.
Jeez.
Actually, you might. I don't know. Are
like
we
the
stereo?
bass player, for some reason, is way over on the left, in those like cheesy 70s recordings.
We did one Mac Break Weekly in Dolby Surround.
Yeah.
And that was wild. People were coming out, the voices were coming out in all different places. I would like to put Paul above us.
Yeah, I would too.
Like the voice of God talking down. Are we in stereo? Wait a minute. Here comes an engineer.
That is an awesome question.
The pipeline is, but when you download the podcast, you get
doing
mono.
this for several years. Is this in stereo?
Video versions are stereo. Can you hard pan Paul to the left and hard pan Mary Jo to the right?
Technically, yeah, but no.
Well, could you just do it right for this one
It's
time?
like we can, but we're not going to.
That's exactly what. Technically, we can.
Yeah.
I have to do it here.
Yeah.
I press the options.
I don't know how to do that on the radius.
I think I know how to do it. Balance.
Probably.
Yep, Paul, you're going to be in the left.
Nice.
Oh, you are. Oh boy. The
It's
engine.
going to be like one of those early audio books where they had like the fly going around in a circle so you could hear him buzzing.
Why haven't we done this before? Mary Jo, speak.
Bark, bark.
Now she's in the left. No, she's in the right. I have to move you over more. Wait a minute. Look at
Yeah,
that.
he'll do it so that we're both on the same side. It won't really make any
Just
sense.
yell out Hadoop.
People
Hadoop.
will think their headphones are broken.
I know, right?
Okay, we've panned you guys.
I can't get the sound out of my head.
It's weird. It's like I've been listening to the Beatles all this time, and suddenly
Yes.
Paul's on the left, George is on the right. Oh, my God.
Frankly, Leo,
Feels
the
like we're
Beatles,
sitting
I
in
think,
front of you, right?
want to go mono.
You know this. Now again, if you're listening to the audio MP3, that you'll hear mono. But if you're listening on video, put on headphones, because I tell you what, it really helps distinguish Paul and Mary Jo. I like it.
Sometimes it's hard to tell who's who.
Yeah.
It must be tough.
Is that what you mean?
Is twit.am mono or is it stereo?
That's good.
We're working on this. That we think that's mono.
I can't tell you how many times people are on Twitter. They're like, I don't know if it was you or Mary Jo who said this, but.
And by the
But
way,
it's not because of confusing voices.
I'm in the middle.
Nice.
But now I've been wearing this whole time for the last 8 years. I've been wearing my headphones reversed because the wire's on. Now I have to reverse my headphones.
Oh, so we're in the right places in the head.
Oh, this works so well. Oh, wow.
That's funny.
All right. I'm going to turn up the subwoofer here. No, okay.
Nice.
Paul Thurrott, your picks or
I
whatever.
want a little reverb on this one, Leo.
Your tips of the week. Hey, let's not go crazy.
I don't know why I haven't written about this yet, but there's a feature in Windows Phone 8.1 you have to enable, and I think it's really cool and helpful. And I've been told it might impact battery life or somewhat, but I've always enabled this and I've never had any issues with it. But basically, what it lets you do is double tap on the screen to wake up the phone. So why would you want to do that? If you put the phone down in front of you, like you would if you were at a bar or restaurant, or if you're at work and it's on your desk, and maybe there's a notification that you notice, or if you just want to see if there's any new emails or whatever, normally with a Windows phone, you would have to pick it up. So you can press that button on the side, the power button, and turn on the screen. But if you can leave it on the table, you can just double tap the screen. The screen will come on. You can flick up the lock screen at that point, type in your code, and do anything you would do on the phone without ever having to pick it up. And so it's the final piece of that never have to pick it up puzzle. And so there's a setting on Lumia handsets, and it's actually available. It should be available on other phones as well. I know it's on the HTC One M8 for Windows as well. But if you scroll way down to the bottom on a Lumia, what you're looking for is touch under settings. And on the HTC, it's under motion launch. But you just turn on this option. It lets you double tap the screen to wake it up. It's something I've been using for a while now. Probably, I guess it's April, but
I have this on my OnePlus One in the Cyanogen model. I love it.
Yeah.
But does it wake up by accident would be the only question.
No.
So it's pretty good at rejecting
Not
spurious double taps.
Yeah. Well, it has been for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to do.
Did you see that? You just showed the video. See that? Look at that. Look, I made a video.
So you made a video. And what's weird is
it's like a Vine video almost. Is it like 12 seconds long?
Yeah, it's pretty short. But it works. Look at that.
I recorded that on the plane today.
Yeah, it says your flight inbound from Chicago, it says on the phone.
Yeah.
And it gives your home phone number.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
No.
Well, I'll talk to you all tonight.
I love that
my wife.
feature.
I'm gonna
I miss it. It was only on the OnePlus One. There's a way apparently to enable it on the Nexus 6. But the OnePlus One, and when they first came out, it would turn itself on, and then there's a V gesture to turn on the flashlight. And every once in a while, your pocket would start to glow.
Nice.
Because the flashlight was on. But all they did was...
we don't have that problem, Leo, because we don't have a flashlight.
Yeah, right. All they did was add the proximity sensor and say, hey, is it in a pocket? Yeah. Oh, well, then don't go on. So presumably Lumia was smart enough to do that. So that's not... You don't have to make a modification to do that. It just does it.
Right.
You do have to enable it, obviously.
You have to enable it. It works... It just works. Yeah, if you have that feature, it's just on or off. Yeah, there's no options to that one.
Neat. I love it. Software pick of the week.
So there's a couple here. Right after we did the show last week, Microsoft finally released those MSN content apps for Android, iOS, and surprisingly for Fire OS, the Amazon version of Android. And so it's news, weather, money, travel, health and fitness, and food and drink. The weather one is not available on iOS yet. I don't know why, but it's coming sometime in the next couple of months. They're free. You log in with your Microsoft account. Obviously, it syncs data across whatever versions of these apps you're using on the web, on Windows, Windows Phone, and now on these devices as well. If you are a Windows Phone user and you're feeling a little burned by this, I will point out that they're actually not quite as full-featured as the versions on Windows Phone, and I haven't plumbed the depths of this exactly, but one of the things you can't do is add modifier view sources on at least the iOS version like you can on Windows Phone. So, if that bothers you, that's available. And then just quickly, I just wrote about these today. Microsoft announced these both this week, but Microsoft has released 2 new Lumia settings apps. One is a beta version of a gestures app, which isn't like Connect gestures. It's have the phone react in different ways based on what it's doing. So when you're in a phone call, in this case, if you put the phone up to your ear, of course, it goes into the mode where it's not using the speaker, it's using the normal mode. You don't have to turn the speaker off. If you put it down on the table with the screen up, it will automatically go into speaker mode. If you put the screen down, it will automatically mute your microphone so that, in the sample video, the dog barking isn't heard by the person on the other phone. And kind of a neat look at where they're going to be taking this thing, because what they're looking for, they have a user voice page, they're looking for feedback. They're going to implement the most popular requested features in the future. So that's something kind of cool. And then there's a glance feature that's available to Lumia users, some Lumia users. It's semi-related to that double tap to wake feature in the sense that it's something related to the lock screen or whatever. But if you have a glance-compatible Lumia phone, you know how awesome this can be. Night mode, it can be off at different times of day. But what this version does is integrate the feature I saw back in August when I met Microsoft to talk about the new devices, which is integrate the lock screen image into glance. And it's a beautiful display if you can get it. So it's only on some Lumias, but something to look for. So it's the glance update, just an update to the glance settings app, and then something called gestures beta. But both of them require Windows Phone 8.1 and a Lumia device.
I love my gestures. I see you're jumping up and down, hopping mad.
Hopping mad.
Hopping mad.
Hopping.
Would you like to file a bug report? Actually, the iPhone and I think Android do that. If you shake the phone vigorously, they say, "Is something wrong? Would you like to file a bug report?" Of course, we know there's no bugs in Windows Phone, so this doesn't come up. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Jo Foley is back with our Enterprise Pick of the Week. Coming to you now from the right channel.
Yes, on the right. This is kind of like my pick I did last week. It's more of a rant than a pick. I've had a lot of people asking me about all the buggy patches that have been coming out of Microsoft lately. They're not just Windows patches. There have been problems with Exchange patches and Office patches, Outlook patches. So I wanted to talk about it for a minute here because people keep saying, why don't you guys talk about this on Windows Weekly? And the reason we're not really talking about it is, yes, we know that there are tons of problems with the latest groups of patches. I actually, in the show notes, have a link to a post that my colleague at ZDNet, Larry Seltzer, did, where he listed basically every broken patch he knows of since June from Microsoft, and the list is long. So people say, why aren't you guys talking about this? Well, you guys should be telling us what to do. I don't know what to tell you to do is my tip. And I also wanted to let people know that Microsoft knows, of course, about this. It's not like we have to tell them this is happening. And we know it's happening, but I'm curious what they're doing about it. We've asked, Larry and I both have asked, to interview people at Microsoft about what they are intending to do to try to curb this, because it either is a case of we're just noticing more of these patches being broken now for some reason, or there really are an increasing number of patches that are failing and breaking and have to be revoked and reissued. But Microsoft's not talking. They won't say what their plans are to try to remedy this. They won't say why this is happening. There are all kinds of...
laid off the people that did patching.
Well, I was going to say that. A lot of people say that's what happened, but I actually don't think that's what happened.
They lay off QA people? I think they did.
They laid off some of the testers from Windows as part of the last rounds of layoffs. But if you look at this list of patches, a lot of what's breaking are Link and Exchange and Outlook. They're not Windows necessarily. I mean, there are Windows things mixed in. But I don't think that's it either. Some people are speculating because now we're in a mode where Microsoft's in this, hurry up, get the stuff out quicker, that things are going to fail faster and they're going to try to fix things faster. But again, that's not something comforting to you if you're an IT person applying these patches across your company. And then suddenly it's like, oh, wait, the one I just applied, like happened in December, was going to stop you from getting any future updates. So you had to take that one off. That was a Windows 7 and Windows Server patch that went wrong. So I just wanted to bring this out again because we have mentioned it in previous shows. We know this is an issue. They know this is an issue. They must be doing something to try to stem this set of problems and try to get this back under control, but we don't know what they are doing. So just so you all know, we're not ignoring you on this because we know it's a big problem and a big issue for IT pros and administrators and customers, but we just don't have anything to tell you right now.
Yeah. When it comes to patches, fail fast and fix quickly is not a good motto.
It's not a great policy. Yeah,
it's rapid release.
Today, I know. Today, when I was rebooting my system, like I always do before Windows Weekly, I couldn't get it to turn on, and I was thinking, oh, great. So maybe it's one of those patches, right? That is done something to my system. But after a couple of retries, I got it to turn back on. But it's not a good feeling when you're worried, like, should I apply these or is it going to like complete havoc on something that's been working? So we know.
Way, you beta test the Windows technical preview, you should expect to run into problems.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Beta testing Windows 8.1 or Link or whatever. I mean, it's using software. It should just work.
Yeah. I mean, they have a really complex set of things to test for. We know and understand that. There's so many, 1 billion Windows users or 1.5 billion now, whatever that number is, 1 billion Office users. They have a lot of combinations to test for. We understand that. But I guess if you're running something you consider your mission critical systems, you don't expect every single month to be having this happen.
Husky Geek in the chat room says it's crap patch fever.
Yeah, pretty much is.
With apologies to Ted Nugent.
I mean, right now at ZDNet and a lot of other places, after every Patch Tuesday, the next 3 days are us writing about all the patches that are broken, being revoked, being replaced. That's become just standard operating policy for us now, which is wrong. There's something bad there, right?
It seems to be endemic because Apple, look at all the problems Apple's having with iOS 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just maybe software got hard all of a sudden. I don't know. It's hard. It seems like there's a lot of problems out there.
It's. I'm trying not to minimize how difficult this is, especially because I'm not just saying, oh, they should just fix this. I know it's hard to fix, but I feel like they're being so transparent about things, like when Azure goes down, they do these root cause analyses that are very complete, and they tell you what happened. We just don't even know what's going on the patch side. We don't have any kind of insight into that at all.
I said on the radio show, because somebody brought this up, in general, I think that partly it's because we have been in a kind of golden age of software. Remember in Windows 95 and 98, things would crash all the time. Problems happen all the time. And the operating systems have become so robust that we're just not used to the bad old days where you always were walking on pins and needles in the old days.
Yeah.
Now we expect these things to be reliable and robust. And I don't know, that maybe was just a temporary phase. I don't know.
I would just love to see them talk to us or somebody about we know this is an issue and here's what we're doing behind the scenes to try to get it under control. Yeah. I would like to see that.
I feel like we just complain about the same things over and over again. It's basically what you're saying is if they could just communicate, I feel like this is something we're
trying to be upbeat though in this show. So
yeah, no. You know
what?
Walk
consistent
a mile
you are, Microsoft.
in my shoes. Yeah.
I know.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
Codename pick of the week, Mary Jo.
Yes. Codename pick of the week is Orleans. Orleans, for Windows Weekly watchers, you may remember this code name. It is a cloud programming framework that Microsoft Research developed, and that is what actually they used with Halo when you were talking about Halo earlier, Leo. This is on Azure, and it's a very important part of how they were able to roll out some of the gaming, not the gaming service itself, but some of the supplementary gaming pieces. They used Orleans when they built it. The reason it's the codename pick of the week this week is Microsoft is going to open source Orleans early next year. So remember, they were open sourcing a bunch of their .NET server technologies and other technologies. That we found out about that earlier this year. And they posted on the codeplex.com Orleans site that they are going to be putting Orleans public preview into open source under an MIT license in, quote, early 2015. I actually, when I was in Stockholm, talked to a consulting company called Sigma there, and they are using Orleans to handle and process data in conjunction with some of the sensors and Internet of Things kind of implementations that they're building. So there are actually commercial customers out there who are using Orleans. So it's very interesting to see Microsoft putting this into open source. I would think hoping to get more customers and partners to start using this as a way to do some of the real-time analytics, especially for Internet of Things implementations going forward.
Right on, Daddy-O, as the kids say. Beer pick of the week. I think after that we need a beer pick of the week.
We do. I haven't done a Christmas beer pick of the week yet, and this is my Christmas beer pick. It's called Castile Winter. It is a Belgian strong dark ale from Brouwerij van Hansbroek.
And you know that because you were there.
I didn't go there, but
that's
I actually get to
brewery.
Brewery, Brouwerij, right? Yeah. It's really good. I just had this week because it was Christmas beer night at Rattle and Hum, and this one tastes a lot like coffee and caramel. It has a lot of great winter spices, like a little cinnamon, a little clove. Some people think amaretto when they taste this one. Very, very nice. 11% though, so it's not a light beer by any stretch. But it's really, Christmas beers are basically beers brewed at this time of year, kind of darker, heavier, using a lot of spices. They're things you want to just sip at the end of the night and not probably down a bunch of them.
Awesome. Whoops, I'm looking at the wrong page. I clicked the link. Brewerage von Hohensbrück.
I didn't even attempt to try to pronounce that one.
Bela Lugosi.
Yeah, Paul said to me earlier, he's like, you should do your top 5 beer picks of the year. And I'm like, I could never do that. There's been too many, and I could never narrow it to 5.
We would love that, though.
I'll have to try
Maybe
it
for
sometime.
New Year's Day, you could do it for a New Year's Eve show. That would be fun. We had so much fun last year tasting beer with you.
Yeah, that was fun. Yep.
My top 5 Audible picks from 2014. Paul Thurrott, reminder, Audible is a sponsor of the show. You can try one of these 5 at audible.com/windows. Fire when ready, Gridley.
During the recording of the show, I bought a book on Audible.
That's how bored
because I was looking because you were looking at it.
Yeah.
No, because you were looking at the top.
Oh, the Saint.
Picks thing.
The Saint, yeah.
So before I get to the top 5, I just wanted to point out, because none of these are industry books, but I think the only 2 industry books I mentioned in 2014, and these are few and far between these days. Haunted Empire, Apple After Steve Jobs, which I liked. I know some people complained about it. I thought it was good. And Dogfight, How Apple and Google Went to War and Started a Revolution by Fred Vogelstein. Vogelstein. Also very good. But the top 5 that I picked, it's funny because I picked them and then I went and looked at the lists, and I kind of whittled it down. I think I had 8 or 9 originally. And I realized what I was left with, they all have exactly the same thing in common, which is the perfect combination of great story with the right narrator. And every single one of these falls into that category. All of them but number 3 are new to this year, right? The one that I picked for number 3 is actually 2 different ones. But the reason I picked 2 was because they're Stephen King stories read by the same guy. And I think that this guy's ideal for some of Stephen King stuff. Stephen King has a couple of narrators that I think are particularly good, and he's my favorite.
Who kind of talks like this?
No.
There's one that talks like this.
No. No, it's not, because that would.
You know who I'm talking about? He does all the gunslinger ones.
I can't.
He did 11/23/63.
Oh no! Oh, that's Craig West. Oh, I like that guy.
Oh,
so maybe
that's
that is
the
the same
guy.
All
right.
So the best story. I've never listened to the gunslinger one, so I'll have to go. Are you sure it's the same guy?
I don't know. Every time I hear him, and I hear him as you indicated in other books, I think Stephen King.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find his.
Yeah, I'm looking at. let me not. You can look that up.
Which one is he on?
Well, he is on 11/22/63, so you can start there. Obviously the best one was The Martian. That was incredible. Anywhere.
Loved it.
Amazing.
I loved it.
Ready Player
You
One
loved
was
it
pretty.
too?
Pretty close.
I didn't hear it on Audible, but I read it.
Oh, you got to listen because it really comes to life.
Yeah, the Audible version is incredible.
Yeah.
It was laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny I kept sharing lines from it with my family.
Yeah.
You know. Ready Player One was almost as good, and a big part of the reason was it was narrated by Will Wheaton, who did a tremendous job.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
Very, very good.
Yeah. Here, listen. This is
Harry Dunning graduated with flying colors.
This guy's good.
I love this guy.
I like that guy. That's not the one. It's another guy.
He's awesome. So that's 11/22/63, which it came out I think last year, and Full Dark No Stars, which is from years ago. But again, it's just the combination of Stephen King with that narrator. I love it. Just love it. And number 4 is Influx by Daniel Suarez, narrated by Jeff Gerner. Suarez always uses the same guy. Awesome.
Jeff Gerner's incredible.
And same thing with number 5, Road Code, which is the latest book by Mark Russinovich, narrated by Johnny Heller. Johnny Heller narrates all of Mark Russinovich's books. And so in each of these cases, you have that kind of awesome combination, the right narrator with really, really good stories. And so this is a really, really good year for...
They live in Vermont.
Incredible.
If I had half a brain, I'd take Patty and go there.
I think this is him, Will Patton.
Only they've got their own problems. Dad says
anyway.
Which one was that?
That was Mr. Mercedes. Anyway.
So actually, that guy is I think I like him too, because
sounds all right. Who is it that I don't like?
Like Big Driver, I listened to let's see, Salem's Lot I listened to.
All right, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I never listened to the Gunslinger books on Audible, and
George
honestly,
Guidall does the first one. He's one of the best narrators in history. He's amazing.
Okay, so you're saying someone else later on?
There is a guy who talks like this. Drives me crazy.
I don't. Yeah, that would have been about as much as I could have listened to.
He was always being like this. I don't know who it is, though, so I'm not going to name him. Because you know what? Mary Jo Foley says, what is it you say?
Take it at face value?
No, take it at face value.
Take it at face value.
Take it at face value.
I was
No,
gonna
like
say
a New Year's resolution.
No judgments. No judgments.
No crap on tap.
No crap on tap. And no crap patches. I like Frank Muller, too. I don't think it's Frank Muller. I'm trying. Most of the Audible readers are so good that you just kind of sometimes want to go.
Oh,
from
I just realized. One I might have added to this list because I'm actually listening to it right now is Casino Royale with the guy from Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
It's excellent. And the Bond books are interesting on a number of levels. They're obviously very dated, but they're short. And that's one of the things I really like. I like Audible books I can get through. I don't want a 23-hour thing that will take me like half a month or a month or whatever. This thing's probably 5.5 hours long. Dan Stevens is the guy's name. He was on Downton Abbey. He's perfect for this. Perfect. Okay. It's an excellent, excellent book.
1932 was the year of
This
John
is the guy,
Coffey.
Frank Muller.
The details would be in the papers, still there for anyone who cared enough to look them out.
Do you recognize that
Someone
voice?
with more energy than one very old man
Frank Muller.
away the end of his life in a Georgia nursing home.
Georgia nursing home. I don't really hate him, but it's a certain thing that he's doing.
Yeah.
He's kind of talks like that.
So I'm curious, and that's Stephen. So he did The Talisman. I'll have to look.
Love that was the Green Mile I just played, but people love Frank Muller, so I shouldn't say anything against him.
But you don't like it. You're saying you don't like this voice.
Why should I care who gets the money?
Why should I care?
I've done everything imaginable with it. As
he read Silence of the Lambs.
He's got a distinctive voice, and you know what? I never not listen to a book that he does because
this guy's done a.
He's done them all, and he's very expressive, and he does great voices. Just something about his straight narration that bugs me a little bit. He just kind of has that kind of voice.
I cannot think of a single thing I want to buy. Or
kind of old-fashioned, it's like a stage reading.
It's dramatic.
Yeah.
But he's done so many great books, including Mr. Majestic, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, he has done some Dark Tower books, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Does that voice sound familiar?
Not really.
All right. I know why I've heard it a lot, because Lisa listens to the John Grisham stuff. He does all the John.
My decision to become a lawyer was irrevocably sealed when I realized my father hated the legal profession.
Anyway. I'm not turning this into a bash Frank Muller session.
But if we were going to.
Take it at face value.
I'm going to take him at face value. Ready Player One, Will Wheaton. Excellent. What else? 11/22/63, I agree. That was beautifully narrated.
Martian, obviously. Influx by Daniel Suarez.
Jeff Gurner.
Amazing.
Love him. Rogue Code.
Yep. Excellent.
You got good taste.
It was a good year.
Are you going to put this anywhere, or this is this?
Yeah, I'll put it up on the notes for the page, when I post the show tomorrow.
All right. That, my friends, on this note, we conclude the last Windows Weekly of 2014. We are coming up on 2015. Does that make any of you feel odd?
Yes.
That's like a science fiction year.
Yeah.
2015, the year we made contact.
Exactly.
I feel like that's what we're living in the future. And you know what? The one thing we didn't expect, crap patches.
Crap patches.
Didn't expect that.
This was not, I don't recall Isaac Asimov ever mentioning this problem.
No.
In the year 2014.
That would have been a great robot book. Actually, it probably was a great robot book. I wonder. It's almost like, the
it's the
robot
fourth.
kind
It's
of,
the fourth rule.
Well, no, it's the reason for the rules, right?
Crap patches.
Yeah, to avoid the crap patches. You don't want the robot killing you.
Yeah. Wasn't that the doctor who wore the clown nose, crap patches? No, that's something else. Okay.
Close.
Kids, it's just it's a sad moment when we come to the end of a year. We've had so many years together, and Now we're going to start a brand new one. We will see next week. We'll see some of the best moments from 2014, and it was hard to pick. This show, you wouldn't think it, listening to it, is extremely entertaining.
I often question that myself.
No, there's so many.
I'm glad to hear that.
I hope some of my apartment fixing neighbors stuff played in there.
I hope so too. I don't know.
You could probably get a solid 2 hours out of just Mary Jo's apartment complex construction project.
She's so nice about it, you know?
No, I've opened the door and screamed into the hall.
This I would like to hear.
Yeah, I don't like it when I can hear people talking to me in the hotel room next door to me. You know, I that would drive me insane.
I know.
Yeah.
And then the following week is New Year's Eve, and of course we're doing our special 24-hour marathon as we do every year.
I'll be there with my wife.
Paul will be here. Hey, that's great. Mary Jo, are you calling in? Or are you going to participate in something?
Yeah, I'll participate for sure.
This year they're not telling me anything. They're just saying, we want you to be surprised.
Right. I was warned not to mention anything.
I don't know what that means. I'm excited.
I don't know what it means either.
It's going to be a fun 24 hours. And we're raising money for UNICEF, which is really nice. I like to do it for charity. And we won an international charity. It says UNICEF USA because you have to pick one, but it's an international charity, and the money will be going to a variety of international causes, all for children, including fighting Ebola in Africa, which is a big thrust for them right now. And so we're really happy to be doing that. But we will be back January 6th, 2015, the year we made contact.
With Cuba.
With Cuba. My God, there's an island. Where did that come from? Paul Thurrott is at the super site for Windows, winsupersite.com. Are you going to stay home for the holidays?
We're going to be home on Christmas Day, but my kids are actually going to Colorado to ski with my father and their cousins and everything.
Fun. What fun. Well, have a great Merry, and we'll see you in the new year. Mary Jo Foley, you staying home, or are you going to visit somewhere?
Going to visit my mom.
Oh, that'll be nice. Where does Mom live?
She lives up in the Framingham area.
Up there in Massachusetts there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me for one moment. There's a kind of a breaking news story of sorts.
Uh-oh.
The browser choice update that was required in the EU is over.
Oh, really?
The obligations imposed by the decision have expired. And as a result, the browser choice update will no longer be delivered to new users.
And we say goodbye to Sleipnir.
So we can all have a moment of silence there for Sleipnir, which enjoyed their 0.0001% market share.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. Great to have you. What a wonderful year this has been. I look forward to a great new year. Thank you, Mary Jo. AllAboutMicrosoft.com. Paul Thurrott. And all of you who join us each week for Windows Weekly. We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. Bye-bye.